All right, good afternoon. Doing over here now doing our charge with the synchromotive controller and my welder, and demonstrating a DC charge. We're pulling power off of the wall, which is 240 volts, running it through my DC welder, and then we're pulling that power and putting it into the cart because it steps down that voltage, increases the amperage. And now what I'm doing is running it through and charging my car using the synchromotive controller as the charger. To set this up, you do have to have 2 extra contactors and an inductor and a little sense transformer or a sensing switch, which we're going to use later. You can eliminate that out of the circuit. Everything's set up so if everything's plugged in, you can't drive away and you can't move the car forward. It will not work. It's the way it's set up. But what I want to demonstrate is the amount of power that we can get. And when I measure off of my negative terminal, we're getting 55 amps into the battery, and we're running 240 volts on a 60 amp circuit. This way I get a fairly high return rate going back into the batteries. So rather than just take my word for it, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to turn this thing on. So this wire here is my key switch. That way I don't have to keep running up and to the front of the car and turning it on and off. So everything else is turned on. So now we're charging. And if I set my clamp meter over here on the negative terminal, we're at 48. So we're getting ready to shut this down because my car is almost full. So okay, so let's say 45 amps. Let me zoom in here on the clamp meter. We'll do a quick little focus on that. So that's 45 amps going into the car. I'm going to take that clamp meter off. I'm going to put it on this side here, so we're still showing the 45 amps. It's not as clear on this one, but it is 45.1, 45.2, and that's amperage going into the batteries. So I'm actually quite pleased with these results. And I think anybody doing this with their car would be pleased as well. That's a reasonably fast charge. It's not like your standard 3 kilowatt charge. This is like a 5.5 kilowatt charge setup, and that's just pulling from a standard welder. On a battery pack, if you happen to have a battery pack, you could do a little bit better and pull off of that battery pack at a higher amperage rate. And my little AC sense transformer. We don't have to have that, but we do need a sensing circuit to sense that there's power for charging, so it knows not to allow you to drive away. And down underneath we have a little inductor down underneath. It's way down under here. It's not getting warm, it's not making noise, and it's just humming right along. And we're now at 43 amps. So this thing's going to be ready to rock and roll here pretty soon. So I'm just going to step aside here a little bit and let you know that this is a viable way. We do use little plug-ins right here. I'm going to set this up so it's a little bit easier and cleaner. Single plug, just plug it in rather than a dual plug. I made this up a year and a half ago doing my charging routine like I'm doing here. So if you missed the video, I have one. But I was using my bank of batteries, and I was able to push in a lot higher current with that. But with the new inductors that I have, I think we might even be able to do better than that. And so the guys up at Synchromotive are working on changing the algorithm in this thing so we can crank out a little bit more, and I think we can pull a little bit more out of our wall circuit. And right now I have it set at its maximum, and its maximum is 125, I believe. And we're putting and that's 125 at the source amperage, and yeah, I might be pulling might be doing that at my source, and that's going to be about max. And but power going back in, it's working pretty good. So just want to show you guys that it is a viable thing to be able to charge with a DC source. You don't have to use that particular setup. If you have a small old marine charger or something sitting around that's like a 36 volt or a 48 volt or something like that, and you have a fairly small pack in your car, you can actually just plug that in and let the controller be the smarts to regulate the charge function, and that'll just run until the controller says no more, and it just shuts it off, and doesn't shut your power switch off, but it shuts the power off to the charge. And you could probably even set it up to where you had some kind of switch to switch off even your power source at the wall. So I'm sure that's quite possible. Demonstration board's not quite so clean, but we'll clean this up, get this all put up and mounted up in the car, and hopefully we'll have this car up and running down the street real soon. And you know, it's a pretty nice little car. It's a little hot rod, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun driving it. So there you have it for now, and we'll catch you a little bit later.